When Balan Wonderworld was revealed last year, it seemed like it could show some promise. It's an original 3D platformer from the mind of Sonic co-creator Yuji Naka, backed by an all-new studio. However, while it does have some heart, Balan Wonderworld is bizarre and disappointing, failing to capitalize on its potential.
Emit Osasi!
Story often feels like an afterthought in most 3D platformers, but Balan Wonderworld's plot somehow manages to be more odd and confusing than most. It begins with the main character jovially dancing, only to then get upset for an unknown reason and leave. Soon after wandering into a mysterious building, they meet the game's mascot, Balan, who delivers a quick musical number before whisking you off to the game's hub, the Isle of Tims. Without much explanation, you're suddenly given the task of traveling through each of the game's 12 worlds to help people with their problems. Most of the characters' stories are simple, like a farmer trying to grow crops or a young girl that loves bugs. But some are a little more out there, like a girl who almost gets killed by a dolphin. The pacing can also feel rushed and disjointed, as each world only has 2 cutscenes to tell these stories, and they're awkwardly placed before and after the boss fights, rather than when you start and finish each level. Balan Wonderworld is bright and colorful with enjoyable music, but it has a lot of strange touches that give it a weird, off-putting vibe. Some NPCs feel lifeless despite the fact that they're constantly dancing, and then they disappear when you get close to them. In other places, there are giants that just stare at you awkwardly. It's a bizarre sight. As a 3D platformer, Balan Wonderworld checks a lot of the boxes that you'd expect, including theme stages, power-ups, and collectibles. Unfortunately, it doesn't do any of this very well. While visually appealing, most of the stages are far too basic, made up of simplistic challenges like jumping on blocks and hitting switches. There are rare moments of creativity, like using a certain power-up to overcome a hurdle, but it never evolves beyond a very basic level, and accomplishing these tasks just doesn't feel satisfying overall. To help you navigate each stage, there are over 80 power-ups to find and collect. Some of these are decent and change up the gameplay, like the fire hydrant, which lets you shoot water and make walkable surfaces on lava. But most of them are extremely simple, or too similar to other power-ups. For example, one stage has jellyfish and dolphin powers that let you travel through water, but the dolphin one can also jump out of the water, making the jellyfish irrelevant. It's a frequent problem that makes many of the power-ups feel completely pointless compared to others. Many of them don't even let you jump, which could be compelling if the levels were designed around that limitation in interesting ways, but they're not. By the end of the game, it feels best to stick to the same 2 or 3 powers, only changing when you have to. With such a large pool of different ideas, it's disappointing that there isn't a greater incentive to use more. In addition to power-ups, colored bird-like creatures called Tims live in the hub world and accompany you when you venture out. By taking magical drops from each stage back to the hub and feeding them to the Tims, you can change their color and power them up. For instance, red Tims are good for attacking, while pink ones help you find secrets. They're cute to have around, but they're ultimately pretty useless. As for collectibles, each stage has various Balan statues that you need to gather to unlock new worlds. Gathering statues is fairly straightforward, but some require you to go beyond simply finding them on the map, rewarding you for tasks like defeating bosses. Unfortunately, some are also tied to an annoying minigame called Balan's Bout, which is essentially a one-button QuickTime event where you're forced to watch Balan randomly fly around and blow stuff up. It's incredibly boring and way too frequent. To make matters worse, getting a statue from these minigames requires you to earn an expert rank, which can be frustrating since making a mistake means that you'll need to completely leave the stage and run back to try again. Eventually, we got so annoyed with them that we ended up avoiding them altogether for the rest of our playthrough. One of Balan's more creative aspects is its boss battles. While they're mostly pushovers, they bring some welcome variety and make decent use of your powers. Additionally, each boss can also be damaged in 3 different ways, like launching projectiles back at them or simply jumping on them. You're also rewarded with the gold statue for each method you figure out, which is a nice touch that encourages experimentation. Local multiplayer is an option if you can get someone else to play with you, but the camera only follows the first player, so it's hard for the second player to do anything substantial. You can link up together and do things at the same time, but it's not very fun, nor worthwhile. Balan Wonderworld is a disappointing platformer that feels like a wasted opportunity. There are some bright spots in its visuals, music, and boss fights, but the bulk of the game is characterized by stale level design, overly simplistic gameplay, useless power-ups, and annoying minigames. It throws a lot of ideas at the wall but lacks the polish to do any of it well. And with a price tag of $60, it's a hard sell. Final score, 4.5 out of 10. Easy Allies reviews are made possible by generous viewers just like you. If you like what you see, check out patreon.com/easyallies to help us make more. For just $1 a month, you can gain access to exclusive content, including Season 3 of Achieve It Yourself, with new episodes Tuesday mornings.